Hey everyone, Dale here, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Audi A5 Coupe. For those of you that are new here, I work as an automotive consultant here in the UK, but I work with brands around the world as well, and I help manufacturers decide what sort of specification they should put into their vehicles, and more importantly what that specification is actually worth. So this is an exercise I would do with a manufacturer, albeit it is in a slightly different format. We're doing it in a YouTube format rather than a PDF or Excel file. And what I'd normally do is they would send me some specification across, and I would effectively price that specification 3 years from now. I would try to predict the future residual value of that specification, and then let them know what they should be putting into their various specifications. So we're going to do the same today. We're going to effectively go through the trim levels of the Audi A5 Coupe. I'm going to have values assigned to various specification, and we can understand where value is assigned. So if Audi asks you for £3,000, for example, to go from a Sport to an S-Line, is the specification that's included actually worth £3,000, or what's it going to be worth in 3 years' time? So we're going to be looking at this as if it was a typical PCP agreement, or maybe you're looking to buy the vehicle in 3 years' time. You're quite interested in how it looks today. Maybe you can't afford it, so maybe you want to look at something in 3 years' time and whether that specification in that vehicle is got any value to it or not. Just as a little caveat, I know that the specification that's listed and that we're going to see today is not all the specification that's included in this vehicle, but Audi, as they do with their other products as well, what they show on their website, 5, 6, 7 items or so, they deem them to be quite important, and important enough to sort of showcase the initial offering of what that product is and what options and features it offers. So if they find it important enough to sort of show front and centre to your average consumer, then that's all I'm going to value here. But I am aware, as you are aware, that if I actually click through, there will be more additional specification, but we're just going to take it on face value at the minute, look at the price difference and whether the initial spec that they show you as standard is actually worth it. The other thing is there's going to be lines and circles and numbers and arrows and all sorts of stuff on the page here. Don't worry too much, I'm going to talk you through every single element, and I'll try and make this video as quick as I humanly can whilst providing as much information as I can as well. So I'm going to record my screen as usual. The basic model in the Audi A5 Coupe lineup is the Sport model. I'm not going to value the Sport model, we're only working on the specifications above from this, but we will just go through the basic specifications so that we understand how we can compare it against the S-Line and the black editions and things like that. It comes with 18-inch alloys, LED headlights and rear lights with LED daytime running lights, MMI Navigation Plus with MMI Touch and Audi Virtual Cockpit, and front sport seats in twin leather. It starts at £38,575. I'm sure you can get a deal through various websites, but in the interest of how it looks today on their website and when this was filmed, it's £38,575. We're going to jump down now to the S-Line model. On the left hand side there you can obviously see a big squiggly arrow, and that's just pointing to the various the difference in list prices. And then on the left hand side there I've got a number £2,825. That's the difference between a Sport and an S-Line. That's what Audi are asking you to part ways with. They want you to spend an extra £2,825 to jump up to an S-Line model. In the centre right hand side there we've got the specification, and then we've got the valuation that I've given just on the left hand side there. And again, this is a 3-year value for a PCP or finance deal, whatever you're looking to do with it, and what I think that specification is worth. And then just underneath everything we've got a total value of what that specification is worth based on the numbers in the middle there, and it's £1,250. So in addition to the Sport, the S-Line trim highlights include 19-inch alloy wheels, Audi Matrix LED headlights with LED rear and dynamic front and rear indicators, S-Line exterior styling, and front sport seats in leather Alcantara with S embossed logo. So there is a zero value against the alloy wheels. There's a very specific reason for that in terms of evaluation and how we look at particular items like this. Basically, if the lowest specification in the product lineup, so in this case it's the Sport model because that is the lowest A5 you can get, if that vehicle comes with alloy wheels, any specification above a Sport doesn't get any additional value for the alloy wheels. It doesn't matter if they're a different size or a different style, it doesn't matter what they are, there is deemed to be no difference in value. Obviously, If you want to spend more because it has a specific set of alloy wheels, or it fits in with the design a little bit better, then that's entirely your prerogative. But from a valuation point of view, we've got to look at an entire demographic of people who are buying this vehicle. And in our opinion, people are not just going to buy a vehicle based specifically on its alloy wheels, and every other product in this lineup gets alloy wheels as standard anyway, so it doesn't get any additional value. So that's the rationale that we work on. Audi Matrix LED headlights with LED rear lights and dynamic front and rear indicators. So I put £500 down, and if I just delete the lights there and I scroll up, we can quite clearly see, if you look at the very top image with the Sport and the lights and how they are shaped, and the very intrinsic detail within the lights, they're clearly different compared to the S-Line. Obviously they project further on the S-Line, they are more advanced, they used to be quite an expensive option a few years ago. So I've added value to that, £500. S-Line exterior styling, excuse me, I put another £500 down for the S-Line exterior styling, and obviously I've got various circles and lines on here based on how the design looks. So if I just scroll back up again, and if we look at the top vehicle, you can see that the front splitter sort of angled down. The front fog surrounds doesn't have, it's not as defined as it is on the S-Line. If I just circle that on the top vehicle again, so you can see the shape of that, and obviously tapering down. And on the S-Line model, if I just delete the lights again, clearly see there's a shape change there, and then the tapering is a completely different angle on that side, and there'll be stuff around the back as well that I can't actually see in this image, but I'm sure there is. So I've added £500. It might seem a little bit low to you that there's a £500 valuation on an S-Line model, because they are seen as quite expensive within the brand, even second hand. The reason for that is that although we're looking 3 years ahead of time, we're also looking 3 years backwards. So we're looking at what an S-Line product looked 3 years ago, so that we can predict what an S-Line looks like in 3 years' time. So it's a little bit counterintuitive how you have to think about things like that. But if you take an S-Line model from 3 years ago and you try and picture it in your head, or you can look online somewhere, I'm sure it will be quite significantly different in terms of its styling compared to what today's S-Line looks like. So we need to think again in 3 years' time, how much is that S-Line product going to change again? So we need to apply a valuation, clearly, because it's going to be different, but it might be so significantly different compared to this model we're looking at today, that this one looks not as good and not as less desirable, and therefore it's not worth as much. So that's the philosophy that we work on. We're working forwards and backwards at the same time when we look at valuation, and the best way to look forwards is to look backwards, so you can understand how people buy certain products. And last but not least, front sport seats in leather Alcantara with S embossed logo. I've added a tiny little bit of value here for the Alcantara bit. Obviously it comes with front sport seats in twin leather, as you can see at the very top there, and they've added Alcantara. I'd need to see the product in person to be able to tell exactly how the Alcantara it looks within the seats. Is it most of the seat? Is it part of the seat? Is it just on the bottom? And I'll speak with Audi about this directly and understand exactly where the value of the Alcantara is going, and maybe the valuation would change. But right now, based on my understanding of how the seat sculpts are and bolstering and things, I put £250 down for that valuation there, and that gives us a total of £1,250 worth of value. And again, I'm probably a little bit light on the S-Line exterior styling, but that's what I've come up with a valuation today. As we can see on the far left, the difference for the list prices at least is £2,825. So you're not losing a massive amount of money when you buy the S-Line model. And again, I think I've been a little bit light with the £1,250 in total, but that's just based on my understanding of how we would value this specific product, especially since I haven't seen it in the flesh. So that's what valuation I've put against it. If we scroll down, we'll go from the S-Line to the Edition 1 model. There's a difference there, so you have to part ways again with an additional £3,250 to go from an S-Line to an Edition 1 model. This model comes with 20-inch 5-spoke polygon design alloy wheels and gloss anthracite black. Again, I put a zero value down there for the reasons I explained earlier. Matrix LED headlights with Audi laser light, dynamic light sequencing and dynamic indicators. I think the lights are fundamentally the same, Audi laser light is obviously a marketing tool that they use. Obviously the lights are different than just the standard matrix LED lights, but again, we're thinking 3 years ahead of time. Will Audi laser light be standard on most of the Audi lineup? And there's a new technology and a new marketing direction that they want to go with, and it's not called Audi laser light, it's called something else. So I put a 0 value against that, because potentially in the next 3 to 5 years Audi laser light will be on a lot more of their products, and therefore it means on this model at least it's not as interesting, and it's not going to gain as much value because it's less desirable. I'm not too sure, but I put a 0 value down for that. Black styling pack, coupe and sportback models only. Obviously, if I scroll up again where we've got all the markings on the S-Line model, you can see that those things that I highlighted in green and red at the very top are now black. So that's what's happened there, and I've added additional value again of £500 to take into account that there's an exterior profile change, and it looks different and it looks smarter, and you know, everything's black now. So that's the rationale behind that one. Electrically adjustable front seats in fine Napa leather. Again, I've added a little bit more extra value to this, so it's an additional £300. So the way it works is you effectively layer the pricing when you're doing a valuation. So it effectively takes whatever I gave as a valuation for the S-Line model with the Alcantara of £250 plus an additional £300 for the fine Napa leather. So that's the way it would work. So I've added an additional £300 worth of value for the fine Napa leather bit. And inlays in piano black, £100 I put on there. Obviously, if you're tying in the exterior and the interior components and everything looks smart enough and it's not overly designed and styled and looks odd when you're sat in the cabin, obviously, then it's going to be worth a bit more because it's more desirable. So I put £100 in there for a 3-year valuation, giving a total value of £900 for an edition 1. Now I'm not sure whether edition 1 also means that this is a limited edition run, whether they're going to be running this model for a year or 6 months, or whether they've built them all already to a specific specification, you can't put any options on them or anything like that. So I haven't taken any of that into account. All I'm doing is looking at the 5 pieces of specification here, and I've said I think in 3 years time that's worth £900. Clearly, if I click through with a bit more specification, it'll probably be worth a little bit more. But based on what I can see here today, £900. So then we go down from the edition 1 to the Vorsprung. Again, the pricing of the Vorsprungs just seems very odd to me. It doesn't matter if it's on an A5, A6, A7, whatever it happens to be. Vorsprungs just tend to be very expensive. So difference between edition 1 and the Vorsprung, £9,650. This one gets 20-inch alloy wheels, again 0 value for the reasons I explained before. Panoramic sunroof, coupe and sportback models only, obviously. Yeah, very desirable option. Opens up the cabin, looks really smart, and I think most people would order it with a panoramic roof than without, or especially if they're looking for a used vehicle, they would probably go for a panoramic roof than one without, unless you wanted a specific look for your vehicle. So I put £500 down there for a value. Driver assistance pack with a little dash tour. It's basically adaptive cruise, so you know it's looking at the vehicle in front and adapting how the vehicle drives. I put extra value in there. Generally, we don't add much value for things that we can't see, even though it's doing a bit of the work for you and it makes it easier and more comfortable to drive. If the customer cannot see that at a glance, or if these systems will be made potentially redundant in the future, then they're not worth as much. So that's the reason why I've not put a massive amount of value on that. I've only put £100. Bang & Olufsen 3D sound system. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if it's a £5,000 Bang & Olufsen system, £100,000, whatever it happens to be, it is just a sound system as we see it from a valuation perspective. We do obviously give a little bit of value because we know it's a premium brand and it's desirable, and people will probably go for a Bang & Olufsen over another brand of stereo or sound system. So I've added £250 worth of value, but they're not worth thousands and thousands of pounds. Doesn't matter if you option it out on an edition 1 and they asked you for £3,000 for a Bang & Olufsen stereo, you're still going to get back, I think, around £250 in 3 years' time for it, unfortunately. And then extended LED interior lighting pack, multicoloured. I've added a little bit of value, £50. I know it's quite desirable to be able to change the colours on the interior of the car. But I've only added an additional £900 again. Again, the pricing is layered, so it's £900 plus everything I've added for the other specifications that sit further down the lineup. But still, I mean, Audi marketing department probably needs to have a little chat with themselves, because there's definitely not £9,650 worth of value in the things that they've listed out. You know, if I'm spending nearly £10,000 to jump up in specification, and as far as I'm aware the engine is the same and the performance, and there's no quattro system on this particular vehicle, I don't particularly want to know that I'm going to get an extended LED interior. I'd rather know they had a 360 camera and things like that, or something else that was you know, like adaptive suspension, for example. So what Audi think people want, potentially this is what people want. They want to see that there's an extended LED interior lighting pack that's multicoloured. For me, I don't really care. I want to know, oh, I'm spending £10,000, what performance do I get for it? Do I get a quattro all-wheel drive system? Do I get a 360 camera? Do I get adaptive suspension? And a few other things. But it's definitely not worth the £9,650 that they're asking, which is why I valued it today, as it looks now, at £900. So hopefully you found that a little bit insightful. If you like the video, obviously give it a like. If you want to see more videos like this, then please subscribe. And if you want me to look at any vehicle that you're specifically interested in, please comment below and we can have a chat. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.